Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. We have some of the good news and also bad news for today. Let's start from the good, by the way. Ukraine launched a strike on Izhevsk. Izhevsk city is located in Russia, really far away from Ukrainian border. I wonder if this attack was conducted from Ukraine or maybe some of the local forces were used, because really it is a very remote place. And what was targeted in particular in this place? Well, the Russian military factory, which produces the engines for the Russian missiles. So it's a huge damage to the Russian military industry, let's say, their production. We even have the video from the local eyewitness. Let's watch it. And one more video, so definitely something huge is burning there, the Russian military facility. Also, Russia produces Topol-M strategic missiles out there which are capable to carry nukes. Watching this huge kaboom, I might say that probably all of the factory was kaputted. I think that I can find the place where kaboom happened. So if we go and zoom into Izhevsk city and go to this direction where the video was filmed and the camera was pointing towards this side somewhere. So I think that the place where kaboom happened was over here. So here we have some of the storages of the Russian forces, could be, but I'm not sure about the exact location. Usually they place those storages somewhere in the woods, in a remote access from the city, because everything nearby looks very civilian. So it is probably the only place where I think the Russian rocket storage and rocket factory was. Also something kaboomed in the Russian city of Belgorod, which is not far away from the Ukrainian border. Russia even put some of the defense lines, as you see on this military map. So let's watch some of the videos from the place. Yes, the video is very short, so it's like that. And here we have one more. As it was reported, the local factory, I don't know whether it's military or not, was attacked by drones. Belgorod is a big Russian hub which they use for rotation of their forces, and now they start to accumulate their forces in this region, probably in the future attempt to attack Kharkiv once again. We have those rumors. But I guess if we speak about realistic scenarios in this area, they'll probably try to attack Kupiansk, this city which Ukraine was able to liberate in 2022. Russia accumulates forces over here, and probably near to Belgorod they accumulate those just for rotations. And Russian channels report that it wasn't the drone attack but a missile strike carried out on Belgorod city. Actually, it was the response of Ukraine on today's Russian attack on Ukrainian territory. Russia launched many of the cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, plus Shahid drones. Many of those Ukraine was able to shut down, but because our air defense is quite limited with ammunition, with missiles themselves, and there will be no supplies from the United States of America in a close perspective, Ukraine has to save lots of the missiles for the long term, because Russia will attack again and again. If we waste all of the missiles to shut Russian missiles, we will not have them in the future. That's why the air defense is now looking at particular Russian missile, whether it flies to very important object or not, and only after decision is taken whether to shut down the Russian missile or not. We have this reality because again we are out of the military support. Yes, we have the support from other countries in European Union, especially Germany, but general support was granted to Ukraine from the United States of America for the last 2 years of this war. Unfortunately, Russian missiles were able to target some of the infrastructure of Ukraine, including the residential buildings, and in Kiev 4 people lost their lives, 32 were injured. And I just remember how around 1 month ago Western journalists from New York Times were saying that Kiev is a safe place. According to new YouTube regulations, I'm unable to show you the images of the destroyed houses or buildings, but you may open any kind of the source and see it yourself. And speaking more about Ukrainian support from the United States of America, the complex bill, the border security foreign aid package, obviously failed today in Senate. But you know what? There were 4 adequate Republicans who voted for this bill. Those guys went against Trump's agenda in Senate, risking their own careers. Wow. Their names are James Lankford, Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski. They showed that they have good, adequate people inside Republicans' party. And we are speaking just about Senate. I believe there are many nice guys in Republican Party, but not in a MAGA group. So what will happen next? Chuck Schumer, the leader of Democratic Party, said that they will create separate bill for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and the border package also will be put separately. And here is the moment of truth, whether Republicans are truthfully support Ukraine or maybe border. Here we see who is who. And yes, I'm again digging into the United States politics, and don't tell me, Dennis, stay outside of United States politics. Well, stay outside with your blockage of Ukrainian support. We need it ASAP, as soon as possible. You may say, Dennis, the United States is not obligated to support Ukraine, but I think differently. Ukraine cut all of its nukes, all of its airplanes because of the deal with the United States. We signed the papers with the United States that they guarantee the security for Ukraine, as well the same paper we signed with Russia, but they attacked us. So we have UK and United States, the countries which should guarantee the security for Ukraine. You may call this agreement just a memorandum, but it's the paper and it was signed by all of the sides. And now, because of the group of the people who want to reach their politician goals, especially for one guy, Donald Trump, we are in a deep problem with the help from the United States, and that is why Ukraine loses the ground on the front lines in this winter campaign. To check that out, let's go to the front lines review to Avdiivka, where Russia moved again in this place, and they crossed the railroad. It is very critical for Ukrainian army. Let's go to this colored satellite image. You may see that here they crossed the road and really not that far away from the main supply road. Here somewhere is the sign you are entering Avdiivka. And yesterday I was wrong about one of the roads which Ukraine potentially might use for their supplies. For example, this one that connects Severny with Avdiivka. It could be used, but only during the dry weather conditions, because the part of the road is the field road. And now let's check the Russian advancement for today. It was yesterday and it is today. They took this quarter of the city and this quarter of the city, crossing the railroad, as I say to you many times. It's very important because the railroad is used by Ukrainian army as some sort of the defense line, because it's on the higher ground usually. My prediction that Ukraine will keep Avdiivka under control for the rest of the winter and during the March time, but later on Russia will take it under control. It is inevitable, unfortunately. Yes, there is small percentage, small chance that Ukraine will continue to keep Avdiivka under control for a very long time, but I don't think that it is possible with the current resources the Ukrainian army has. We have a fresh battle video from Avdiivka. It is near to the factory that is located near to the railroad. Russia tried to get it under control several times but failed. So it's between Stepova and the factory. You can see the fence of this factory. As you can see, Bradleys were deployed there. The problem for Ukraine that we do not have the trenches over here or defense lines. They were not built before. Unfortunately, there was not enough time, or there was no proper strategy from Ukrainian command at the very beginning of the war. So Russia advanced very rapidly, not allowing Ukraine to build those trenches. That is why our defense is mostly like very maneuverable, using Bradleys, using our infantry, our tanks. Unfortunately, that brings more losses compared to the robust defense lines, which, for example, Russia built on the south. The Ukrainian army command learned the lesson and now is building the defense line somewhere in this place behind Avdiivka town. My followers from the United States, may I kindly ask you something? You may go to congress.gov, it's your official website of the Congress of the United States, and here you may find your member who represents the area where you live, basically your senator. So you may find a person and write a simple letter to him or to her. It doesn't matter whether you support Republicans or Democrats. We just need the support for Ukraine. So write the letter, please support Ukraine, whatever you want to write. Just don't use bad words. I already called once for this action, but we need to do it again. Thank you so much for your efforts. But we also have the good news from the front lines. Let's go to Yampilivka over here. Russia tried to get to Terny and Yampilivka. They were even successful at some point, but today Ukraine pushed them back a little. So it was yesterday and it is today. Ukraine expanded this gray zone. We also have the situation update in Izhevsk, where Ukrainian army recently was successful. Let me show you the combat video. 2 Russian T-72 tanks were stopped with the help of the mines. You can see judging on this track, so both of the tanks were abandoned and Ukraine used drones to eliminate both of those tanks. Unfortunately, because they're in good condition, obviously it's better to trophy them, but it's too risky to send our forces for evacuation. The gray area is very unsafe, so we have the drop just into the tank on top of the armor, and the grenade went inside and the kaboom as usual. But it's better to do like that than allowing Russians to evacuate their tanks to their side back. This video shows the kaput of the Russian BMP using NLAW. Yes, we still have NLAWs in our army as well as javelins. As you see, they're very effective against not just the light armored vehicles or BMPs, but also against tanks. Here we see one more Bradley not far away from Avdiivka, and what we were able to spot is this Ukrainian electronic warfare against the drones. It is not the first time we see that stuff on our Bradleys. It is good. Let's go back to the map. Unfortunately, we have a large-scale advancement of the Russian forces towards Novomikhailivka. It was yesterday, and let's go to the timeline. It is today. Again, they entered this small town or village. The last month, the Ukrainian army was able to move Russian forces out from Novomikhailivka, but you see that Russia is able to take initiative nowadays on the front lines, mainly because they have more resources compared to Ukraine, more artillery, and in the future they will have more drones and more artillery shells to put on those drones and use against Ukraine. They already used those drones against the Ukrainian infantry more than Ukraine used against the Russian infantry, but still Ukraine wins against the vehicles. So Novomikhailivka again is under the huge threat right now. The same picture we saw last month. We also have the update from the southern part of Ukraine, Krinky village, and let's see the details. It was yesterday and it is today. Just a clarification of the military map. It's very hard to get the information from the place. Just drone images may show some of the changes. There are some of the combat images available from the place, but unfortunately I am unable to show you them on this platform because mostly there was the Russian infantry that goes straight ahead towards the Ukrainian positions, and you may understand what happened to them. However, I share more information on my Telegram channel. You may find it with a link just in the video description below, or I will try to find my QR code and post somewhere on the screen. So I highly recommend you to subscribe for my Telegram channel. There is quite low censorship compared to other platforms. I do not use X because it's not my style. I would say it's very inconvenient for me to use it, but Telegram is very useful and I'm always updating you using my phone all the day. Then I have my free time. I post the videos that I got from other channels or from the world news services. So in Krinky everything is more or less stable for this day. Russia tries to take the ground back but unsuccessfully. Ukraine is very close to start the massive production of the Lancet-style drones. Russian Lancets are very effective, but again they took the idea from Israeli drones, and Ukraine took the idea probably from the Russian drones, so from the Israeli as well. They use the double X type of the wings, which makes the drone very narrow, I would say, so they may put it elsewhere on every vehicle or launch from every point. I do not have the exact figures of the range of the Russian Lancet drones. From one source they say 50 kilometers of the range, from the other sources 70, but still 50 is a lot. It's more than the Russian artillery. I would say that it is the most effective Russian tool which they use against our artillery mostly. So I'm very happy that Ukraine is moving towards obtaining those kind of the technologies and produce those kind of drones. The Ukrainian Special Forces recently conducted a special operation in the Black Sea, deploying themselves to some of the oil or gas platform where Russians put their equipment. Russians use this platform mostly for transmitting the signal towards their drones, and this equipment was mainly stolen by Ukrainian side and the rest was kaboomed by our soldiers, so Russia lost critical equipment in the Black Sea. From what I know, Ukraine has already established the full control over the majority of those oil and gas platforms in the Black Sea, but still some are still controlled by the Russian army, so our guys perform the sabotage acts or special operations on the Russian platforms. Again, those are not the huge platforms as you might think, no, they're quite small. My friends, don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And also, if you want to support my job, you may check out some of the links in the video description below. As usual, special thanks for my Patreon supporters and the sponsors of my YouTube channel. Guys, you are doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much for your awesome support. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.